Hi, I'm Jay Kuching of the Claretian Missionaries, Director of the Claretian Publications. We have been in the publishing ministry for 40 years and have published more than 2,000 titles. And we've noticed that in every title that we have published, there is a story behind the book that could not be found on the pages. Welcome to Between the Pages, an in-depth look on the author and the story behind the book that can only be found between the pages.
What is the main questions that my book, Fundamental Forms of Christian Life, is trying to answer? The main question are the differences that we find within the church. Differences among the different forms of life. At times we think that consecrated life is superior to the lay people. At times we think that the way of life of the clerics, of the ordained ministers, is superior to that of the religious life and that of other forms of lay people. But I try to present what I call an existential ecclesiology, an ecclesiology of all the forms of Christian life in connection, interconnected, interrelated. I try to offer an eco-ecclesiology. That means to understand the church as a biocenosis, and even to understand the diocese as biodiocese. The most important is to create a space in which all the forms of Christian life come together, are interconnected, not in relationship of superiority and inferiority, of more perfection and less perfection, but interconnected in mutuality. And for that, I offer here an ecclesiology from this perspective. The first volume is an historical overview of the whole history of the church. And we can see how from the very beginning until now, a lot of things are changed. There are times in which the people of God has all the protagonism as people of God. But after that come clericalism, hierarchies. Then come also a presentation of monastic life, of religious life, as something superior within the church. And then the poor people of God, the plebs tua santa. And because of that, in this historical perspective, arriving to the Second Vatican Council, we perceive a process, an evolution. And finally, in the times of the Second Vatican Council, we find a new perspective, the perspective of Lumen Gentium. In this perspective of Lumen Gentium, all the forms of life are together, and we have to develop that. In many books of ecclesiology, the main part of the book are dedicated to the form of Christian life of the ordained ministry. Pope, bishops, clerics. Then what is reserved to the marriage people is very less. And it is not spoken about this wonderful discovery or rediscovery of the domestic church. Because the church is a church of domestic churches, not only of parishes and dioceses. And we have to rediscover the meaning of this form of life, what is marriage, Christian marriage. And finally also the perspective of other forms of consecration, other forms of consecrated life that appear by the leading of the Holy Spirit within the history of the church.
I am Michael de los Reyes.